Hi, this is Andre. I want to talk about feedback in looping. Feedback determines how many times the loop is going to repeat. And in most looping devices, feedback is always set at 100%. In other words, you record something and then it plays back at exactly the same volume until you erase the loop. Here's an example of a loop that I made off camera. Pretty straightforward. And the volume isn't decaying at all because feedback is set to 100%. Now what I'm going to do is come here to the front panel. I'm going to adjust the feedback knob. I'm going to turn it a little bit to the left, which is going to bring the feedback value to less than 100%. And as I turn it, you can see the numbers start changing. So 127 is the maximum feedback value. It's scaled 0 to 127 so that it can work with MIDI control. You can hear that the loop is fading out. But this isn't just fading out the level of the loop, because listen to what happens if I start overdubbing new material. The new material is coming back at a full volume initially. And if I want to, let's say I like this for some reason. Let's say I want to keep that as my new loop. I can come back to feedback. I bring it all the way back up to 127. And now the loop is going to be frozen in that state, at least until I overdub any new material into it, like this. So now you can hear all of these new elements are at full volume. They're not decaying. They're not getting any quieter because feedback is still at 100%. So let's say I want to develop this a little more. So I'm going to bring feedback down a little bit. You can see the display going down. So that's not quite 100%. And as I add new layers on top, you can hear the older layers are fading out. I'm going to bring feedback down a little lower so we get a more dramatic change and a faster rate of change. So I'm just overdubbing new elements. And you can hear they're fading out pretty quickly because the value of the feedback is set lower. And again, if I get something that I like the sound of and I want to stick with that as a new loop setting, I can bring feedback back up to 100%, and it's going to stay there, which means I can start overdubbing on this and build it up to a completely different point. Sorry for my sloppy timing there. Sorry for my even sloppier timing there. Let's say that I want to get rid of it completely. Bring feedback all the way down to 0. That means that if I play just one note, it repeats once, and that's it. That's with feedback at 0. You only get one repetition of a sound, which might not seem that useful, but you can actually now I'm bringing feedback back up to 100%. So you can hear the last little bit of that short duet I was playing with myself. Ha ha ha. Now feedback is back at 100%. So I can add new elements into the loop and they're going to stay at that level. Kind of a fake Star Trek thing we have going on here. I'm not really in a Star Trek mood, so let's fade it back down to 0. And again, all this is just feedback at 0. So I only get one repetition of everything I play. And until I bring feedback back up to 100%. And now I can build it up from scratch. Now let's talk about how feedback differs from simply fading out the level of the loop. I have the output level of the Echoplex assigned to a pedal that's off camera, but I'm going to bring it down. This is only controlling the output level of the loop. It's not controlling feedback, and you'll hear the difference. You can see the display is starting to go down. This is the output level of the loop getting quieter. I'm going to overdub stuff. But you can hear it's the overall volume of the entire loop. There isn't really any evolution going on. The new stuff that I'm playing is decaying at the same rate as the old stuff, because I'm not doing feedback, I'm controlling the output volume of the entire loop. This is not a bad effect, but it's very different than feedback. And if I bring it back up, you can hear it's the same kind of thing. Whereas if I start using feedback, the old layers are going to decay. But the new layers come in at a fuller volume. So let's talk about one other really cool thing. Here's feedback all the way up. Let's say I don't like that really high note. That one. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to impose feedback on part of the loop. So just for that little bit, I brought the loop level down and then basically printed a fade in and out to the loop. Now I can get Now I've gotten rid of that high note I didn't like. I can add in a new note there. And I can sculpt the content of the loop with feedback a little more like that. That kind of thing. This is a lot easier to do while you're playing if you have feedback assigned to a pedal. I'm using feedback on the front knob because I want it to be very clear as to what's going on. And let's say we want to fade this out. Let's say we want to fade it out and we don't want to add anything to the loop. Just fade it out while I play some kind of noodly, gratuitous solo over the top. So feedback's a little lower. This is my noodly, gratuitous solo. And the stuff I'm playing is not getting added into the loop because overdub is off. Okay, even I'm getting bored with my noodly, gratuitous solo, so I'm going to bring feedback down a little more so it fades out a little more quickly. And so forth. So that's a crash course in feedback. Thank you for listening.